Caitlin Clark does not have to stay with the Indiana.
There is a terrifying, inescapable nightmare that keeps the owners of professional sports franchises awake at night in cold sweats. It is not a sudden, unexpected losing streak, nor is it a catastrophic physical injury to a superstar. It is the chilling, paralyzing realization that your billion-dollar golden goose, the single generational asset that resurrected your entire organization from the graveyard of irrelevance, has suddenly realized the sheer, unadulterated magnitude of her own leverage. In the multi-billion-dollar business of professional sports, talent might dictate the rules on the hardwood, but leverage entirely dictates the future of the franchise. We saw LeBron James master this exact brand of psychological warfare when he famously returned to the Cleveland Cavaliers, signing deliberate, one-year contracts to hold the front office completely hostage and force them to surround him with elite competence. And now, the entire basketball establishment is watching in absolute shock as a 24-year-old point guard executes the exact same ruthless, brilliant strategy in Indianapolis. Welcome back to Royal Scope, where today we are completely ripping the mask off the most explosive, franchise-altering power struggle of the entire basketball landscape. Caitlin Clark does not have to stay with the Indiana Fever, and she just dropped a massive, highly calculated warning shot directly into the team's boardroom. During a recent appearance on the Post Moves podcast, hosted by her teammate Aaliyah Boston and basketball legend Candace Parker, the conversation naturally shifted toward the grueling nature of the professional league and the future of team building. Boston, the franchise center, openly and happily discussed her own long-term contractual security, proudly noting that she had opted into her extension and is securely locked in with the organization until the year 2029. Boston looked at Clark with the genuine warmth of a teammate and said, "Fever till 2029. Hey, I love playing with you." It was an absolute layup of a PR question, the exact scripted moment where a heavily media-trained franchise player is supposed to smile, nod enthusiastically, and pledge her undying loyalty to the city for the next decade. But Caitlin Clark did not say that. She looked back at Boston completely unfazed, her face entirely devoid of the expected corporate enthusiasm, and delivered a line that absolutely shattered the glass windows of the executive offices. She responded with a cold, calculated reality check. "Yeah, well, I'm only signed till next year. Don't worry about that. We'll figure that out." She explicitly, deliberately, and publicly left the door wide open. For those who do not intimately understand the intricate details of professional sports economics, a premier player on a rookie deal has access to a massive, highly lucrative supermax contract extension often referred to as the epic bag. It represents the type of guaranteed, life-altering money that 99% of professional athletes blindly, joyfully sign the absolute millisecond the paperwork is slid across the table. But Clark is not 99% of professional athletes. She is an elite competitor with a brilliant understanding of her unique position, and she recognizes the exact kind of hostile, tactically restricted environment she is dealing with. On the sidelines, the cameras have caught moments of intense friction with head coach Stephanie White. Off the court, the strategic direction has raised serious eyebrows, with White explicitly telling the media she wants to run the quarter-court offense through internal paint options like Damiris Dantas and Maisha Hines-Allen, rather than putting the ball completely in the hands of the greatest playmaker on earth. Furthermore, marketing decisions from executives like Kelly Krauskopf and Amber Cox have drawn fierce criticism from a passionate fan base, who feel the organization is intentionally keeping their superstar off prominent promotional materials to artificially elevate bench rotations. The strategy behind Clark's refusal to commit is the ultimate leverage play. She is holding her signature hostage, staring directly at ownership, and sending an undeniable, terrifying message: you need me infinitely more than I need you. If the organization does not clean house, if they do not establish a modern, fast-paced system that builds around her specific genius, she can simply play out her contract, become an unrestricted free agent, and walk away. The ownership group knows she isn't bluffing because the financial foundation of the franchise is already shifting in real time, proving exactly how reliant they are on her individual brand to fill seats. When we pivot to the cold, hard, mathematically devastating economic data, the reality becomes an absolute, unmitigated bloodbath for the front office. The yearly league attendance numbers have dropped, a definitive bombshell. This extreme operational humiliation is exactly why Clark refusing to commit to a long-term extension is the most brilliant, necessary, and lethal move she could possibly make. We will expose the explosive destination of her potential free agency exit in just a moment. But if you are fascinated by the intense strategic battles and raw human drama behind the scenes of professional sports, take a second to hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below. Do you think Caitlin Clark should reject the extension and force a trade, or should ownership fire the entire coaching staff to make her stay? Let us know your thoughts below, and let's get right back into it. By leaving the door wide open, Clark instantly becomes the most powerful entity in the entire sport. She knows, and the ownership group knows, that there are 11 other highly competent, brilliantly run organizations with massive financial backing that would literally fire their entire coaching staff, clear their entire salary cap, and hand her the keys to the city tomorrow morning if she indicated she wanted to leave. Look at the Toronto expansion team, entering the league with a completely blank slate, massive international backing, and a desperate need for a definitive face of the franchise. Imagine Clark fleeing the toxicity of Indiana to build an absolute Canadian basketball empire from the ground up, completely on her own terms, with a front office that completely understands her value. Look at the Golden State Valkyries, an organization built entirely on the philosophy of elite perimeter shooting and maximum spacing, a system where her deep-range capabilities would absolutely thrive. The options available to her are limitless, and every single one of them is vastly superior to the structural nightmare she is currently enduring. The ownership group is officially on the clock, the grace period is entirely over, and the empty seats are eating directly and painfully into their profit margins. Executives face a definitive, high-stakes choice that must be made immediately. They can choose to protect fragile front office egos, keep running an archaic, slow-paced post-offense, and watch their generational icon pack her bags and leave the franchise to return to the absolute irrelevance of playing in front of 3,000 people in a silent, echoing arena. Or they can finally act like a true billion-dollar entertainment enterprise. They can completely clean house, fire everyone who stood in her way, and bring in a proven mastermind like Lisa Bludder, a coach who actually understands how to unlock a generational genius and secure the financial and competitive future of the organization for the next decade. The era of trying to humble a once-in-a-lifetime talent is officially over. The player holds all the cards, the contract clock is ticking down, and millions of fans worldwide are aggressively backing her up with their wallets. True greatness always dictates its own terms, and the modern sports world is about to find out exactly how far an organization will bend when a superstar decides to hold their entire future hostage.